Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Force for Growth Live. I'm Ricardo.
Good morning. I'm Courtney, and thank you for joining us. It's Wednesday, so we get right down to business. It's hump day. So, hashtag hump over your hurdle, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're putting off or procrastinating or making up an excuse for. You should catch our episode last week. It was great. Uh, get it out of the way, get it done. Like, give up perfection, move perfection over, and just look at what you actually need to do to get this done for the year. Get it out of the way. Done. How can you make the most out of that situation? So stop putting it off. And
Yes.
that
and-
is it. And if you need motivation for that, you can catch all of our episodes at forceforgrowth.com. I beat him to it on accident. And yeah, forceforgrowth.com. You can catch us on all platforms. So by all means, as you're spending more time at home or if you are making any long trips, road trips to family, we have some good listening material for you. So
For sure.
forceforgrowth.com.
All right. So today, Courtney, this conversation today is inspired on Monday's conversation. Let me break it down for you. Are you ready? Are you listening?
I am. I'm
So
curious.
on Monday, you asked me a very specific question about being relentless, about mindset, about this and then about that, right?
Mhm.
And I did not answer said question the first time around.
Mhm.
Jesse had to come in and type in the chat and be like, no, this is it. And then I answered the question way later on. So that got me to thinking because Jesse said, you do that all the time. I ask you a question and you totally answer it a totally different way. And you never really answer my question. And I was like, wow, okay. So this is clearly a communication problem.
Mhm.
And maybe a little bit of a paying attention problem because I didn't ask for clarification. I thought I understood the question, but clearly I did not.
The ladies saw a different perspective. I'm guilty of this. I'll throw my hands. Absolutely, I could pay attention better, and I think communication is just something. Whatever level you're at, you can stop, pause, and do better.
You can
Period.
always do better. See, because you asked the question, and then I could have said, Courtney, can you clarify? Did I?
Hmm.
No,
Right?
I didn't. I didn't even bother asking for clarification because I assumed, and you know what they say when you assume.
Yeah.
I assumed that I understood the question. But it was clear when I went back to listen to it and when I was talking to Jesse about it that I did not understand that question. So, how can we make sure that we communicate clearly? And if we don't understand, get clarification so we can make sure that both sides are communicating the way that they should be, especially going into the holiday season, especially going into Christmas, dealing with relatives, dealing with people that maybe you don't see throughout the year. It's
Yeah.
very important to have those communication skills up to par.
Yeah. And I think it goes both ways. Like it's when it comes to communication, like the walls we put up, we're putting up in so many different ways. So if we could first break the taboo of it's okay to ask someone to clarify something. Like, don't get annoyed when somebody asks you for clarification because I just want to highlight if somebody cares enough to ask you to clarify, that's love or that's at minimum attention somebody else is giving you. And that's the most valuable thing someone can give you is their time. So if you really pause and look at if somebody's asking, like, hey, can I just make sure I understand this? Don't roll your eyes at them. I mean, maybe if you've said it 10 times, that's a different conversation. We can talk about how you're approaching the communication, but it's okay. Like, it's okay. And like we were talking about this, I forget what we were talking about, but don't deny it or confirm it. Just clarify it. Don't deny, confirm. Don't attach to one side or the other. Just keep clarifying what's in this for me. What's in this for me. And by default, you'll get closer to the answer, whatever that might be, because you're just double downing on you and just focusing on clarification, not confirming this or denying this, which gets the ego involved. But
Yes.
That made me think it's the ego at play right here. So the reason we hear things differently, it's the ego's fault. Okay, that thought's still forming. What are you
It's
thinking,
okay.
Ricardo?
Um, just like you said, don't be upset, don't get mad, don't get frustrated when people ask for clarification. It's just as important to be brave enough to ask for clarification. Don't assume that you know it. Don't assume that you understand the statement. Don't assume that you understand the question. Ask for clarification. Can you clarify that question? Can you tell me exactly what you mean? And I think just doing that alone will get 99% of the issues, both sides. Don't be annoyed when people ask for clarification, and don't be scared to ask for clarification.
Exactly. Because it all translates. If you're willing to talk to your spouse or your best friend or whoever, your boss, and say, hey, can I just make sure I understand this right? Or can you clarify this? Or this is how I understood that. Is that correct? If you're willing to do that, you're willing to approach the moments and have that difficult conversation about this thing that you know you need to confront, about telling your spouse what you want in your relationship, about standing up for yourself. So it's a muscle that you practice, but the best way to build it up is literally just, hey, Ricardo, just to clarify, I was curious about this. You know, you can add how you approach it can still be enthusiastic and curious. It doesn't have to be like, wait, no. Like it doesn't have to insert that you think the other person's wrong. There's just so much misguided
So,
approaches here. I guess that's
yeah,
what I'm trying to say. Just we're approaching this way wrong and simple process. It's just, hey,
hello.
make sure I understand.
Are you that I'm look? Is it you that I'm looking for? Jesse says each person needs a different way to learn something new. Just the same as people communicate and understand in different ways, it's okay. I think that's a big part of it. We assume that people learn and understand what we understand, and sometimes they don't. Some you could say something to one person and they'll understand it very clearly. However, you say the same thing to another person and they might not understand it at all. And you're saying it the same exact way. And we have to take into account those deltas of how people understand, how they learn, and how they listen.
Hmm. Yeah. It's just taking a step back and realizing this person in front of you has lived a completely different life than you, has thousands, millions of different moments than you. And our moments and our history, our stories is what we apply meaning to things with. So that's where we decide the meaning we apply to things. So if your walls are up and you're not willing to hear someone else's perspective,
It doesn't
it's just
work.
so limiting. I mean, it's just back to the you're either growing or you're dying, you know? So that's how I look at this. If I'm willing to open up and at least hear someone else's opinion or consider someone else's opinion, just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean you need to absorb that and take that as fact. And this is my belief now. No, your brain's not going to fall out. So it's okay to hear it out, but I mean to take that a step farther and infuse the respect of, hey, I want to make sure I understand what you're communicating to me right now. I want to make sure I understand what your heart's telling me, or in those big moments. I mean, people completely dissolve relationships based off misunderstandings and arguments because no one stopped to clarify. 50 years go by, they'll never talk again, you know? And that's an extreme example, but that's the danger of this. Like, really, are you willing to give that up because you didn't have the courage to say, "Hey, can I clarify or can I make sure I understand?" Or just own that you were wrong. You didn't get it
Ooh,
right. Own that.
that's a
It's
big one.
okay. That's actually a good check mark because that's you're growing. It
That's a
would
good one.
be worse if you just never had anything to adjust because you're done growing. And if you're alive, you're never done growing. So
Admitting
own
you're
that.
wrong, or admitting, not even necessarily admitting you're wrong, but how about even just admitting that maybe you didn't communicate that as clear as you could? Let me give you an example. Several times around my household, here and there, especially when we're busy and there's things going on and the house is full of chaos, we have those moments. Jesse will say, "Hey, Can you get me that thing over there? And I'm like, okay. There's like 15 things in that direction that she pointed to. So I got 1 out of 15 chances of getting this correct. So I assume that it's one thing. And then she's like, no, that's not what I was asking for. And I'm like, well, you know what? You didn't really clarify what thing you wanted. You didn't clarify what it was. You didn't clarify what color. You didn't clarify anything. You just said that thing over there. And then she says, well, I thought you knew. No, ma'am. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Which someone else would be like, yo, Jesse, there's 15 things over there before I make 14 different trips back. What is it? What color is it?
What is, yeah, what's the thing that you need? Tell me specifically. What's the thing that you need?
Could you
And
point at it?
yeah, she makes a joke about it. She's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Literal. I'm like, babe, I don't know what you're talking about. I literally have no idea what you're talking about, what you need, what you're referring to. Please clarify.
Yeah. And this is actually a big thing that comes up in my relationship a lot, or has in this last year of growth between us. But it's basically that whole, I thought you knew. I thought you would see it that way. Or I thought,
Hmm.
and we've been together a long, long time. So taking a step back and having that conversation over and over and realizing we're still not approaching it as good as we could. There's room for a lot of improvement. And understanding two different human beings have lived two different lives and are deciding to come together. That means more chances of stuff not matching up than you have in common. So
Yes.
it always cracks me up when people assume everyone looks at the world like they do. Like, hello, I don't know. Maybe you haven't talked to enough people. Maybe you haven't communicated with enough people yet to see you're different than everyone. I don't care what your background looks like. You're still different than, like, yeah, we all went to high school. Maybe we didn't. There's someone out there that didn't even get to go to high school. So you better be grateful you got that chance. There's the most popular girl in school had a different experience than, the geek in the corner or something like that. Insert stereotypes that aren't true. But
But
it's
you're right, though. But you
we
are
all went to
totally
school.
right.
We all had the same
Yes.
experience, but did we experience the same way? Heck no, we didn't. And that is what we add meaning to. Like with that experience, I'm going to add meaning to my friends, my achievements, my this or what I don't know. Like when it shapes your whole life. That's what I'm trying to say. But
That, yes, it
it's
definitely does. And we don't take account for those differences.
right.
We assume everyone's on the same wavelength that we are on. And the majority of the time, that's not true. Given the example that I just gave you, Jesse's my wife. I see her every day. If I have miscommunications with her, think about how many miscommunications I have with people that I see once a week, once a month, or once every couple of months. Golly, it's astounding.
It's eye-opening, and it back to paying attention. It's partly a protection or defense mechanism that your brain shuts everything out. There are millions of pieces of data coming around you. Even me just sitting in my house right now, there are millions of things I could focus on right now because my brain truly has that ability. But I would go crazy. I would go insane. So it limits out about 99% of that and just makes what I'm paying attention to important for me. So your reticular activating system, we will only pay attention to what we need right now. Or that's not the actual definition. That's my summary of it. It's just your brain's like, okay, we don't need that info right now. We're not going to pay attention to that. However, one psychology teacher in college once told me, like, okay, the feeling of your pants against your legs. If you now
Mm,
think about your pants against the legs, you can feel them against your legs. But if you're wearing pants, hey, it's Zoom. So just kidding. Um,
I
so,
am wearing
but
pants. No one has said
yeah,
anything about my Christmas outfit today. But go ahead.
Yet. We will get there, sir. Okay. Um, you distracted me. Okay. But basically, yeah, it's just so keep in mind there's so many things going on just like that, millions of them. And your brain is paying attention to what you tell it to. So pause. Your brain is paying attention to what you're telling it to. So
Hmm.
make sure you're in control of that factor right there. But then it's missing it's not a bad, what am I trying to say? The miscommunication goes both ways for the good and the bad, but you have to be open. What I mean by that is So you didn't hear the question the way I asked it the other day, but you did give an answer and you heard it in a different perspective. So if you're willing to approach these conversations and keep going with them, you'll learn new things because, yeah, you might have been after this answer, but you got this one over here, which opened up an entire conversation. And here we are, talking about that subject. So you have to be willing to jump in the communication pool. You have to be willing to jump in because it's going to broaden the things you pay attention to. But like, it's little things like this unexpected conversation over here that came up because you asked someone to clarify. You'll end up talking about life history. You make a new best friend. And then a month from now, when you need something with work, I'm making it up, you need money advice. Oh, look what she does by day. She specializes in that. So it's this organic way of building up your resources and your tribe
And
for this
strengthening,
common mission that is you at the same time.
and
Communication is that key.
yeah, and strengthening those relationships. That's what I heard. When you said all that, all I could think about was making those existing relationships stronger.
Yeah.
Just by simply, like you said, paying attention, giving them focus, being present. Oh my gosh. How important is that? Being present when you're having a conversation with somebody.
200%. Like, don't even bother. If
Yeah,
if I just get a shell of you, I'm good. Don't call me back.
correct. Because you got to be present, you got to pay attention, you got to clarify. So many things are going on here with communication, and all of these things make a huge difference. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Ryan says, my dad told me something growing up I use almost every day. Speak like a carpenter. Excuse me. Speak like a carpenter. Instead of measuring twice, cut once, think twice, and speak once.
Oh, yeah, that is so good. Okay, my great-grandfather Sullivan, he what was it? Measure it twice, cut it once, but it's along those same, always measure twice, so you only have to cut once or something like that.
Correct.
But he also used to say, education is what you gain yourself, wisdom is what you learn from other people. So thank you for reminding me on that because that is such wise advice from your dad, Ryan. And it's communication. Like
It
it
is.
all fits into this category.
That is. I like that. Think twice and speak once. Think
Yeah.
about what you're going to say. What I think the most of the time that my communication falls to the side and it gets all wonky donkus is when I get fired up, when I'm in the heat of the moment, when I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying. I'm just speaking to speak because I want to be heard and because I feel like I'm not being heard. And
Mhm.
in that case, I'm not thinking at all. I'm just speaking to speak. And that really doesn't work.
How did you just say you just said something profound. You're not paying attention to what you're saying, but then you also said because you want the spotlight. You didn't say it that way, but because you are hungry for attention right now, you want to feel heard. You want your voice to matter. So in that moment, but ironically, you want to feel heard and you want attention, but you're not paying attention.
Correct. Ooh, that is ironic.
Interesting correlation.
That's very ironic.
And I don't
I
know what
want
to
to
do
be
with it. I'm
heard.
so
I want
processing.
attention, but I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm not paying attention to the other person. That's really
Or the
good.
words that are brewing up about to come out, A lot
Oh,
of
but
a
there's
lot of
no
people make
brewing.
jokes about different
This
things
is this is coming. This comes out straight out the jar. There's no brewing. It's whoom. They're out. They're
which
out.
is partly
And after
some
they're
of your
out, and you
magic
see,
too. It's just also an area you could shape up and polish on this side too.
yeah, because those words just flow. Man, those angry words, those mean words, those hateful words, man, they just come out so naturally and so precise with so much precision. They just, whoom.
Yeah. And Ryan and Jesse are chatting here. He said, Jesse's spot on. You're talking to listen, to understand. Bingo.
And
You're not talking to be heard. Like, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you're not talking to be heard. You're talking to build something between you and another human, whether that's
mm,
a minute moment in a sales call or that is a lifelong friendship.
you're talking to connect. You're talking to connect. You're talking to bond. You're talking to make a bond
Mhm.
and connection with somebody.
It's also another area where a lot of people see this common. We've talked about this a lot on marketing. A lot of people don't get good interaction on their posts and any, much likes or comments at all. But if they look at their own activity, how many likes or comments did they put out? How
Ooh.
much, engagement did they compliment a friend on? Or, hey, this was a great job, or congratulations, happy anniversary, happy birthday. Like, how much engagement are you giving out on social media? And how much are you getting in?
Mm.
Because if you're sitting there pouting about the engagement you're getting back, it's a direct it's a direct relation to how many likes and love you give out, period.
Wow. Isn't that what life's about? And that's what communication is about, period. How
Mhm.
much love, how many likes, how much presents are you giving out?
Yeah,
That that has a direct connection to how much you're getting back.
it's massive. I mean,
It is.
it not to sound cheesy, but I do truly think the purpose of life is the game of love or separation. And if you pay attention in the moment, staying open, communicating, asking for clarification, asking, them to elaborate on what they thought, giving people the floor to tell you more. That's another way. Instead of, even if you don't need something clarified, you can also just tell people, hey, tell me more, because they maybe haven't gotten a chance to think about it. And now
Ooh.
I forgot my original
Or
point.
you could just say it the way that you said it. You got the floor. Tell me more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
It like, that
I
is such
like
a
that.
great gift you can give to people. Like, you guys, all of us just wanna feel heard. We all do. We all wanna feel loved. And so if you can just check your life for ways to give that out. Yeah, it's gonna feel weird. Yeah, it's gonna feel awkward. Sean Murphy's tip of 3 messages a day. Your 3 messages a day. I love you. You inspired me. Thank you. They can all be the same thing or not, but, like, if your brain isn't thinking about, if you can't look at your life and okay, like Ricardo's sitting in front of me, right? So, like, when we plan stuff together, when we chat on the phone, when we this, like, I have a genuine appreciation for who he is as a person, for what is to come between our friendship, So I am genuinely interested to hear what he has to say to this, but that grows. And so if you aren't willing to give your attention, that's probably why you're so hungry for attention from others.
Mm,
And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it will change your life.
that is a big one. Give some attention. Give a little piece of yourself so others can give a little bit back.
Yeah.
It's such important. Going into tomorrow, the rest of the week, going into the new year, make communication a priority. It matters. It'll make a difference.
Mhm.
Wow. Great conversation, Courtney.
Yes, this was a good topic.
This was a good talk, especially going into the holidays.
Yes.
So,
And thank you for being vulnerable, for one, giving your honest reasoning why we came up with this conversation. And two, would you model your awesome onesie for us, please? For those, does your thing fit over your headphones? I don't know if that.
I don't know if it'll fit. Let me see here.
Oh, it's a complete. Oh, there we go. See, okay. So, audio listeners, you're gonna have to look at his little reindeer hat. It's so funny. Okay,
Yeah.
and
We're
then
getting
search
ready
his
for the
Facebook
holidays, man.
for him and Jesse's matching outfit
Oh, hold on a
picture.
second. Speaking of this, Jesse says, y'all answer Ryan's question.
Oh, let's see. Oh, okay. So Ryan asked Ricardo, Courtney, who is that person for you in your life that is the healthiest communicator you know? Oh, healthiest communicator.
Ironic that we missed a question when we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Jesse.
Ironic. Ironic. Go ahead,
Isn't
Courtney.
it ironic? Okay, healthiest communicator. I struggle between one of my friends that, I mean, you can't monitor anything that comes out of her mouth. So love it or hate it, it's going to be the dead honest truth. And then it's my partner. Like, he will say it bluntly and for good or for bad. And I appreciate that.
I would have to say Jesse. I would have to say my partner, Jesse, wifey Jesse. And I'll tell you why. Not because she's the best communicator, not because she clarifies and we don't get into scuffles and tuffles over communication and little misunderstandings. It's because she's come to the point to where she's just like, oh, that's just how he is, and doesn't take him personal anymore.
It's
And when she
based in
sees
love.
that I don't understand something, she'll clarify it, or she won't get frustrated with me anymore. Is there still moments where she still gets frustrated and a little bothered that maybe I'm not paying attention or I'm not doing my part in the communication game? Of course. But for the most part, those little annoyances aren't there anymore. I can tell, and it's not something that she's told me. I can tell that she doesn't get annoyed with me anymore. So that's just been something that we've been working on for the last few years. And to me, that's healthy communication.
Oh, and Jesse said that you've taught her to be a better communicator.
And
Yes.
you know who's taught us to be the best communicator? Sebastian, my little 7-year-old dude.
Oh,
This
he's a good
boy,
communicator too.
ooh, man, you got to be very specific, extremely specific, extremely clear. So overall, over the last 7 years, communication has skyrocketed, gotten way better. But
Yeah.
overall, Jesse's the healthiest communicator that I know because not because she's a perfect communicator, but because there's that understanding and that grace when I make a mistake or don't understand something or ask for more information or something like that.
And that
So
moves mountains, right?
it
In
does.
a relationship and then in how it trickles. So,
Ooh, great question, Ryan.
yeah,
Still
thank you
very
for that.
ironic that we missed that question.
I know. It's so
Ah,
back to our point that whatever level you're at, you can do better. And we
yes.
should all pause and just give it the
Ah,
effort. It's worth it.
well, I think that's it, Courtney. Thank
That
you so
is.
much for tuning in. We won't be here on Friday. We'll be back on Monday, Wednesday,
Yep.
and Friday. But have a great Christmas, and we'll see you guys back on Monday.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
Bye, y'all. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.